أهلا بيكم طالبات وطلاب جريد 1 بريب. برحب بيكم في أول حلقة ماث للترم الثاني تحت رعاية وإشراف وزارة التربية والتعليم، وأتمنى أن الكل يكون ربنا وفقه في الترم الأول ونفضل مكملين في نجاح باهر يا رب. النهاردة درسنا هيكون عن repeated multiplication، وزي ما احنا عارفين إن الماث is cumulative بمعنى إنه تراكمي، وبنحتاج كل اللي درسناه في الترم الأول ونكمل بيه الترم الثاني. So let's get started. Our lesson is repeated multiplication. So our warming up for today's lesson is about number 1 times 1 times 1 is 1, or 1 times itself many times we will get 1. Next, x is equal to x to the power of 1 if there is no exponent here, so that means it's to the power of 1. And the same for the number. So variable or number, if they don't have an exponent, so we are going to put 1. Negative times negative for any two numbers or for any two variables will give us positive. Here, repeated multiplication means, for example, 2 to the power of 3 is 2 times 2 times 2, which is 8. How can we get 8? 2 times 2 is 4, then multiply 2 again, 4 times 2 is 8. How can we read it? 2 to the third power or 2 to the power of 3. So the exponent means repeated multiplication. And here in this case, 2 is called base and 3 is called exponent. So how can we read it? 2 to the third power or 2 to the power of 3. And repeat the multiplication. The exponent means repeated multiplication. And a to the power of n means a times a times a many times, or n times. Here we have the exponent is n, so we will repeat a n times. Example, 1 over 3 to the power of 1 is equal to 1 over 3. Why? Because the power here is 1, so I need to repeat 1 over 3 just one time. Next, 1 over 3 to the power of 2. We will repeat 1 over 3 two times. So 1 over 3 times 1 over 3. And how can we multiply fractions? Multiply the numerators, then multiply the denominators. So 1 times 1 is 1, and 3 times 3 is 9. Then 1 over 3 to the power of 3. We will repeat 1 over 3 three times. And don't forget, here we have multiplication or repeated multiplication. So 1 times 1 times 1 is 1. Then 1 times 3 is 9. 9 times 3 is 27. Let's watch this video from the AKB.
After we have recognized the meaning of the repeated multiplication in Z and applied it on rational numbers Q, now it's time to apply these rules and solve examples. Let's start. Find the value of the following: 2 over 3, all to the power 2, by the repeated multiplication. We ought to apply the repeated multiplication in Q, where 2 over 3 has been repeated as a factor 2 times. So, 2 over 3 multiplied by 2 over 3 equals 4 over 9. To solve another example, press on the next tab. Let's take another example. What's the value of 0.3 to the power of 4 by repeated multiplication? Firstly, we can put 0.3 as 3 over 10 all to the power of 4. Now, we can apply the repeated multiplication in Q, where 3 over 10 has been repeated as a factor 4 times. So that 3 over 10 multiplied by 3 over 10 multiplied by 3 over 10 multiplied by 3 over 10 equals 81 over 10,000. As for the reverse method, please press the next tab. Put the following rational number in the form of a over b, all to the power of 2. 25 over 9. By repeated multiplication, 25 over 9 equals 5 multiplied by 5 over 3 multiplied by 3. Then we can put it as 5 over 3 all to the power of 2. Now, put the following mixed number in the form of improper fraction a over b all to the power of 3. 3 and 3 over 8. Firstly, we ought to simplify this mixed number by the whole number. By multiplying 3 by the denominator 8, then add the result to the numerator 3. Now, the improper fraction will be 27 over 8. Secondly, by repeated multiplication, we have 3 multiplied by 3 multiplied by 3 over 2 multiplied by 2 multiplied by 2. So, we can write the fraction in the form of 3 over 2 all to the power of 3. At the end, you can solve more exercises by yourself.
Okay, so here we have the first remark. 1 to any power or 1 to the power of n is 1. Why? Because 1, when we multiply it by itself many times, also we will get 1. 2. a over b to the power of n. That means we will distribute this n or this exponent for a, the numerator, and also for b, the denominator. So it becomes a to the power of n over b to the power of n. 3. Any negative number to the power of even number is positive. So when we have, for example, negative 2 to the power of 4, look at the exponent at the top. If it is even, immediately ignore the negative sign. And here is the opposite. If I have negative number to the odd power, so we will keep the negative as it is. So when we have even number, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and so on, so ignore the negative. But when we have odd number, keep the negative as it is and repeat multiplication. Any number or anything to the power of 0 is 1 except 0 to the power of 0. Example, find in the simplest 4. 2 over 5 to the power of 4. We will repeat this 2 over 5, repeated multiplication 4 times. Why 4 times? Because the exponent is 4. So it becomes 2 over 5 times 2 over 5 times 2 over 5 times 2 over 5. And as we know, we will multiply the numerators. 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 again is 8, then times 2 is 16. Then 5 times 5 times 5. We can multiply by any order. So let's get 5 times 5 is 25. And the other 5 times 5 is 25. Then multiply 25 by 25, which is 625. Or we will distribute this 4 for 2 and 4, 5. Here it is. 4, we are going to write it above 2 and above 5 as a power for each number of them. And repeat this 2 for 4 times, repeat this 5 for 4 times with multiplication, and also you will get the same result. So here we have a new hint. Repeat the rational number as it is, 2 over 5 as it is, or distribute the exponent. Distribute means what? Put it for the numerator and put it for the denominator. Then we have another example. Find in the simplest form negative 1 over 2 to the power of 4. Here, let's focus on the power. Let me circle it. This 4. Is it even or odd number? It's even. So ignore the negative at all. So it becomes half to the power of 4. I ignored the negative. Why? Because of the even power. Okay? So it becomes 1. I distribute here this 4 for 1 and 2. So it is 1 to the power of 4 and 2 to the power of 4. Then repeat the multiplication. 1 times any, or 1 times itself any times is 1, and 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 again is 8, times 2 is 16. Negative 1 over 2 to the power of 3. Let me circle. The exponent here is 3, and 3 is an odd number. So we will cancel the negative or keep it. Of course, we will keep it for the odd power. Okay, so it is negative 1 to the power of 3 and 2 to the power of 3. I kept the negative as it is for the odd exponent. So it is 1 over 8 because 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. Practice. Find in the simplest form negative 2 and 1 over 4 to the power of 2. Here we have a mixed number. We have to rewrite it as an improper fraction. How? We will multiply from down here. Let me change the color here. We will multiply 4 times 2, then add 1. 4 times 2 is 8, plus 1 is 5. So this 4 times 2 is 8, plus 1 is 9. So it is 9 over 4. Keep the same denominator, which is at the bottom. Keep 9 over 4. And what do you observe here? We have to the power of 2. 2 is an even number, so we will ignore the negative sign. 9 times itself 2 times. 9 times 9 is 81. And 4 times 4 is 16. This is the simplest form. Why the simplest form? Because we cannot simplify anymore, or we cannot divide by the same number up and down. What about if I have decimal? The best way is to rewrite this decimal as a fraction. And as we know from the first term, we can write 0.3 as 3 over 10. Why 10? Because we have one decimal place, and here we have 1 0 for the 10. And repeat 3 over 2 2 times, 3 over 10 2 times, so it will be 3 over 10 times 3 over 10 will be 9 over 100. And here we have to keep in mind 10 to any power, put the same number as the exponent. For example, 10 to the third power, the power is 3, so I'm gonna write 3 zeros, which is 1000, and so on. Another one. If x is equal to negative 3 over 4, y equals negative 1 over 2. Find x squared times y to the power of 3. Okay, let's replace x and y. Instead of x, we are going to put negative 3 over 4 to the power of 2. And instead of y, we are going to put negative 1 over 2 to the power of 3. Then repeat the multiplication. Negative 3 over 4 to the power of 2. 2 is an even number. Ignore the negative sign. So it becomes 9 over 16. 3 times 3 and 4 times 4. Then negative half to the power of 3. The 3 is an odd number. So we will pick we will keep the negative sign. So it is negative 1 over 8 because 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. So the final answer, here we have to multiply the numerator. 9 times negative 1 is negative 9, and multiply the denominators. 16 times 8, which is 128. And also find x divided by y squared. Replace x with its value. X is given here at the top, negative 3 over 4. Divide by y is negative half. And put the power for the y. Okay, I'm going to write negative 3 over 4 as it is. Then what about negative half to the power of 2? Ignore the negative sign because the power is, or the exponent is, an even number. So it will be 1 over 4 because 2 times 2 is 4. What about dividing rational number? Do you remember the first term? Here we need to flip it. KFC. Keep the first fraction as it is. We kept negative 3 over 4 as it is. Flip the second fraction. It is 1 over 4, so it becomes 4 over 1. And no need to write any number over 1 or write it. It's up to you. Then C is 4. Change the division to multiplication. So we can ignore or cancel this 4 up and down. So it is negative 3 times 1 is negative 3. That's it. Now let's take more practice on the board to be clear for everyone. Okay, practice. Compare, put greater than, equal, or smaller than. Number 1, 3 over 10 to the power of 4 and negative 3 over 10 to the power of 4. As you can see here, we have the same exponent. Here we have 4 and here we have 4. But the 3 over 10 is positive and here it is negative. What about the even power? We will ignore the negative sign. So in this case, we will get 3 over 10 and here also to the power of 4. And here also it is 3 over 10 to the power of 4. Why? We ignored it because of the even power. So they are equal, the first one. The second, negative 2 over 7 and negative 2 over 7. Here the power is 3, it is odd, so the answer will be negative. And here the exponent is even number, so it will be positive. Okay, I ignore the quantities, but I need the sign only. And as we know from the first term, the negative is always smaller than the positive. What about 5 over 9 to the power of 8 and 5 over 9 to the power of 3? Here we don't have any negative signs, so the same base, which is 5 over 9 in both. So which one has more or has the greater exponent? Of course, the first one. So this quantity will be greater than the second. So when we have the same base exactly, they are both, or they are positive, okay? So the number that has more or greater exponent will be greater. Then the last one, 1 over 2 to the power of 1 and 1 over 2 to the power of 0. Here to the power of 1, we will write it just one time, no need to repeat it. And any number to the power of 0 is 1. So which number is greater, half or 1? Of course, 1 is greater than half. If you have 1 and half for anything, banana for example, so the half is smaller than 1. Let's take another one. Complete. Negative 7 over 8 to the power of 0 plus 1 over 7. Anything to the power of 0 is 1, except 0 to the power of 0, undefined. Plus 1 over 7 as it is. How can we add 1 and 1 over 7? We can write them as 1 and 1 over 7. Write them beside each other, okay? Or rewrite it as an improper fraction. How? Multiply 7 times 1, then add this one at the top. So 7 times 1 is 7, plus 1 is 8 over 7. So here it is. Let me clear all. This one. Okay, so that is the correct answer. It is 7 over 10, and here it is 1 and 1 over 7, which is 8 over 7. So let me revise what we studied today. Here we have repeated multiplication. Repeated multiplication is an exponent. So the exponent means repeat the multiplication with the same base exactly. So for example, 2 to the power of 5 is 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, not 2 times 5. So keep in mind we will repeat the base as the same number of the exponent. And don't multiply, don't do this one, please. Okay, for example, if I have 2 to the power of 3, most of the students write it as 2 times 3. No, it's not correct at all. So we will repeat this 2 3 times. And what is the relationship between them? Multiply them. So 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 again is 8. That's all about today's lesson. Thank you so much. I hope it was clear for everyone. Take care. Bye.